Hi everyone, my name is Kimberly Jung and I am the co-founder and CEO of Rumi Spice. We are a group of military veterans who import saffron, the world's most expensive spice, directly from Afghan farmers. So how many of you guys know what saffron is? Actually, okay, so quite a few, so that's great.
Paella.
Paella, that's right. Risotto Milanese, paella, saffron and green tea. These are some of the dishes that you find with saffron in it. And saffron actually happens to grow really, really well in Afghanistan. And Alexander the Great used to bathe in saffron after battle to heal his wounds, if you knew that. So I'll begin by telling you a little bit about myself. I spent 5 years in the Army. I was a route clearance platoon leader in Afghanistan in charge of 40 soldiers looking for roadside bombs. And I also spent some time with the female engagement teams engaging with the Afghan women. And so what I found there was that I thought we did a really great job as the men and women of the US military laying a foundation, but what we really needed was that last mile. And in my mind, that last mile was business. So I ended up getting out of the military, and I went to business school, where they ask you, what will you do with your one wild and precious life? And so my first thought was, I'm going to go to McKinsey, and I'm going to San Francisco and be a consultant. And I didn't get the job, and I was very devastated at the time. And I was on the phone with my co-founder, Keith, who was a military veteran also, and he was in Afghanistan. And he was telling me about this farmer named Haji Yosef. Now, Haji Yosef is amazing. He's an entrepreneur himself. He's a farmer, and he was growing saffron in the Wardak province, which is the same province where I was a route clearance platoon leader a couple of years back. Now, Haji Yosef went to these aid organizations to try to get business opportunities from them, because that's what they promised him. And he came back with a lot of promises, and none of them were fulfilled. And so I thought this was such a shame. When I was listening to this, I thought, okay, this is what I should be doing for my one wild and precious life instead of doing consulting. There's nothing wrong with consulting. I'm just saying, for me, this really spoke to me because of what I'd done in Afghanistan, what I felt still needed to be done in terms of our commitment as soldiers to Afghanistan. That goes beyond our service in the military. So I bought myself a ticket to Afghanistan and actually ended up taking my entrepreneurship professor from Harvard Business School with me, which is kind of amazing. He's also a photographer, and he's always wanted to see Afghanistan, so he went with me. And we met with Haji Yosef here in the Wardak province, and it's quite amazing. Got a chance to buy some saffron from him, and I also got a chance to see some other farmers in the Herat province, which is on the other side of Afghanistan, and that's the saffron capital of Afghanistan. And these farmers are so traditional that they don't shake my hand because I'm a woman. But at the end of the day, I bought saffron from them, and I took it back with me to the States, and I started selling saffron to restaurants and grocery chains. So today, Rumi Spice has a lot to be proud of. I literally, just 2 days ago, just got back from Afghanistan from the fields of saffron. There's a saffron harvest that takes place once a year, and this was pretty much like a pilgrimage for me. I got a chance to go back and pick flowers with our farmers and our Afghan women who we've hired, and I got a chance to figure out exactly how to take the stigmas out of the flowers and to dry them and see how much work it took to meet all of our families and to really get a chance to take part in the harvest in Afghanistan. So here's a picture of some of our farmers. We started out with 11 farmers in our network last year. Now we're at 34. We are now 5% of Afghanistan's total saffron production, exporting 100 kilograms of saffron, which is quite a lot of saffron. And we have enough bargaining power in the markets to actually make a tangible impact on the purchasing price of saffron flowers in Afghanistan. So that's how far we've come. We've hired 60 Afghan women so far. They're getting paid direct wages, which is a really big deal. These women have been doing saffron harvesting for the past few years. The only difference is that they were doing it under the auspices of their husbands and their fathers and not getting paid direct wages. They're doing the same work, but this time they're getting hired in our processing facility, and they're getting paid direct wages, which is another step, in my opinion, in empowering Afghan women. So these Afghan farmers here, who are now Well, they are the bread and the salt of Afghanistan, and they make up 80% of Afghanistan's population. The farmers that we have in Herat, this gives them 8 times more income than their current annual incomes, which is $500 a month. I'm sorry, $500 per year per household. And this is really, really important because for several reasons. One, this eventually can help replace the opium crop, in my opinion. Saffron actually gives farmers up to 6 to 7 times more income than growing poppy. Secondly, these farmers, before, they didn't shake my hand, and this year I'm really proud to say that they not only shake my hand, they're also taking selfies with me. And asking me for iPhones. So this is a really great example of how Afghanistan is being brought back into the fold through business. So I have a quote here from Jalaluddin Rumi. He's the namesake of our business. "Where there is ruin, there is hope for treasure." And when I was in Afghanistan, I was very lucky to be part of the Saffron International Festival, the first ever in Herat, and I was the only foreigner there. But the overwhelming feeling that I got there was that people are very optimistic about the future. And there's a lot going on, as we know. The security situation is not the most perfect. But people are saying, hey, we can export. Rumi Spice has been able to demonstrate that we can export to the United States. They're growing. We can do this as well. And there's a future for Afghanistan. There's a future for our people. And there's incomes that can be gained for our families that nourishes our community. So that's what Rumi Spice is aiming to do. We are laying a foundation for peace, one saffron flower at a time, through business. So when you guys are thinking about what type of gifts to give to some of your culinary friends or your family who love to cook, please consider us. But overall, we'd love to have you guys follow our story. There's a lot of work to do, and let's cultivate peace one saffron flower at a time. Thank you.